Hi Cancer, welcome to your week ahead horoscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Cancer, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. Really interesting. I'm seeing a compass in my mind's eye at the minute. I'm seeing a compass that's like almost like the sun symbol, and it's got the solar armed or the equal armed cross in the middle. Very interesting. All right, sorry, interruption there. So this week your key to the week is the Judgment card, right? Big change. Okay, maybe that's why, because in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, where are you? Come on. There is the cross, but just really interesting because that's what I was seeing when my eyes were closed and I was focusing in on your reading. So you got the Judgment card, right? And in a lot of ways this precedes massive change, right? This is end of an era kind of stuff, but it's also a card of the past in a way as well, because this tends to be where the past is brought to light. Something is resurrected, if you like. And if I'm honest, I kind of feel like this is about your, because this card in specifically this deck as well is called the Sleepers, and it represents your ancestry or your ancestral energies. And I kind of feel like this week there's likely to be something very deep that comes up, right? So from your personal or own inner cauldron, something will bubble up this week, right? So keep an eye or a weather eye on that fact. The fact that it is the Judgment card as well, I really feel like this is you doing some of that deep introspective work. And it kind of makes sense because this week you've got the new moon in Aquarius, which is actually going to be in your 8th house. So if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. For your actions and options this week, you've got the Knight of Pentacles. So this is really nice, okay? The reason I say this is because this is slow, steady, sustained effort, but it's also you really embarking on a brand new journey, something that is about to rewrite your personal history in a sense. What I will say to you as well, because this is about what you do, for some of you this is literally a trip down memory lane. So you could be visiting a place that you used to live, you could be visiting a place that you went to school. Excuse me, you are actually, like this week, you'll be taking a literal trip down memory lane. For some of you, this may be that somebody from your past reaches out and you, in a way, I kind of feel like this is you might have a moment. You know, sometimes when you meet a friend that you haven't seen for years, right? And you get together with them and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's like literally no time has passed. You both regress to teenagers and you're just complete idiots, right? This kind of feels like that, but it's that 2.0 at a much more sort of mature kind of level, which could be good. It also suggests as well for some of you, the embarking on this new path, it's not necessarily an old path, but rather a rededication of an old path. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Two of Swords. Underneath the Judgment card, that is, I mean, the Two of Swords itself is already quite a psychic kind of energy, but it can be about opposition. And you've got this with the Judgment card, and I wonder if the way that you see something that happened in history versus the way that somebody else sees something that happened in history might butt heads this week. All right, so you know, and everybody remembers everything differently, right? And why? Because they remember it from their own subjective viewpoint. This is not a week to really get into some of those details, because As an example, two people that have the same parent that are, you know, let's say even a set of twins, can experience a parent and that parent's love in a very different sort of manner. And so how they remember their childhood will be very, very different. This kind of suggests that to me, like your viewpoint or your memory is going to butt heads with somebody else's this week. And it's because you're remembering from your own viewpoint. Now, for those of you that are employed by somebody else, I get the feeling that a lot of you can feel the shifts that are taking place in your career. And I kind of feel like some of you are like, okay, I kind of feel like I'm driving blind here, not really sure where this is all going. I just know it's about to shift. You would be right in thinking that, and whatever you're intuiting about the company that you work for, there is definitely something going on behind the scenes that you may not necessarily be as privy to at the moment as you would like. All right, so something to consider. For those of you that are self-employed or people that work for themselves, one way that this might show up for you, you could try to bring something back that you thought at the time was a really sort of great idea, and you know it hadn't worked, and maybe somebody says to you this week, look, you know, you tried to do this before and it wasn't good then, and I don't really think it's good now. Sometimes we have to say bleep to the to the naysayers, but sometimes we have to kind of take a minute to observe, okay, why are they saying that? How much truth is there to this, right? So I guess what I want to say to you is don't jump in blind. Like if there are more naysayers than there are supporters, you need to ask yourself why this week. When it comes to those of you that are retired or no longer working, I mean, this would be a great week to develop your psychic skills and your spiritual practices or awarenesses. This would also be a really good time to start maybe looking into how your environment is either supporting or hindering your health. Just something to consider. For your love and relations, you have the Moon card. So this card is somewhat not as easy. And I will say this to you. This week, do expect your dreamscape to be very, very active, right? You've got the Two of Swords, a very psychic card in the communications and conversations, which is all in here. And then you've got the Moon card in the love and relations. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are dreaming about ex-partners, hearing from ex-partners. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Venus is direct at this point, but even still, I wouldn't be surprised if you were, you know, sex dream about the boss. We've all been there at least once, don't worry. You know, this could be something like that as well, very possible. But the dreamscape is going to be very much alive this week. And it usually is for people that are Cancerians anyway, because it's your realm after all. You know, between you and Pisces and Scorpio, actually, you guys kind of have all of that wrapped up. So, you know, and it's funny because the 4th, the 8th and the 12th are the houses that those signs represent. And the 4th, the 8th and the 12th are all occult houses, you know, all to do with the other, all to do with the taboo, all to do with, you know, what is out there in the ether, let's say. So very, very interesting. Now, for those of you that are single, treading memory lane, right? Why do I say this? Because you've got the Judgment card here and you've got the Moon card. These are both backward looking cards. These are both cards of the past. And so for those of you that are single, I don't feel like this is you reconnecting with somebody that you dated. I feel like in the process of you walking down memory lane, you are likely to meet somebody. So this could be a very interesting a very interesting time. For those of you that are married, partnered, in long-term commitments, this is slightly different because you've got the Knight of Pentacles there. This is you and your partner deciding to go ahead with an old idea. This is you and your partner maybe deciding, you know what, we always wanted to move to ... or you know what, we always wanted to do this. There's an element here of you and your partner doing something from your past or something that you had always promised yourselves that you would do, and now it gets to see the light of day. For your money and materials, You got the 10 of Cups, right? So the home and environment is blessed this week. It's great, actually. You know, home for all of us is sanctuary, but no more true than for the Cancerians or the Taurians is that truth, right? When it comes to Taurus and Cancer, those signs mean it. When they say home is my sanctuary, they absolutely, that's 100. This is great, right? It's really nice. Now, there is a little bit of a nebulous vibe because you've got the moon card here, which suggests that for those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, the home is sanctuary this week, but it kind of looks like it might not be, what's the word? You may not necessarily spend as much time there as you would like, right? So when you do get back home, it's like, you know, you're feeling the place like, love you home, missed you. I speak to my house all the time. That's why when I saw Encanto, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Because I literally, like, wherever I live, I speak to the spirit of the home. And that's a really, really important practice. If you're a Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, and you're not speaking to your home or the spirit of the place in your that you live in, what are you doing? Like, are you even a Cancer? Really? Now, anyway, side note, for those of you that are, when it comes to your physical health and vitality, this is a great card for this because it suggests a completion of a healing journey. So for those of you that have had any health issues, this week you get your mojo back. And then finally, when it comes to your money and your materials, this, right, if the way is blocked, if there's a naysayer, if there is something that kind of suggests maybe not to go down a certain path, it may be that something or someone is trying to save you from bleeding money, right? Because there's no challenges or issues with your money, but there's a contention here. Is that word? Like, you know, when you contest something, like there's something coming from somebody this week where they're kind of saying, I'm not sure that's the best move for you. And I don't know why, but I have this feeling that you're supposed to listen to them. Now, that new moon in the sign of Aquarius on the 1st of February, so right out the gate at the start of the month, is in your the 8th house. This is all to do with your this is, yes, it's your psychic skills, but it's also the occult in your life, right? So what is hidden? This is a house of secrets. It's a house of magic and mystery. This new moon really might be asking you to tap back into the mystery of life, or even to rededicate yourself to some spiritual or even occult art in some way, shape or form. Tarot, numerology, astrology, you know, the I Ching, I'm just trying to think what else. You know, all of the things, right? Human design even, right? All of these kinds of what I call the spiritual sciences, let's say. Another thing as well, because it is a fresh start or a new beginning of some sort, it's also the Chinese Chinese New Year, all right? So this is a very powerful point of energy. This is a new tide of energy effectively as well, and it falls the day before Imbolc, or Imelc as some people call it, and or Candlemas as some people also know it. So technically this new moon actually has a lot of power, and in the 8th house, this is, you know, the deep stuff. It's sex, it's all of the taboo, it's all of, you know, it could be other people's money, it could be a death, it could, you know, it's just a packed house. So give it some consider, of course. You've got the gate 48 and depth, right? So this new moon is going to be a big deal for you guys. Anything to do with the moon is a big deal for you guys anyway. But look at that. You see the rune on her chest? That rune is called Daggaz, and what it represents is the dawning of a new day, right? We've talked about this whole energy here. So with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments if it's not too personal how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.